knitters, welcome to PJ Knits. My name's Penny. I live in Central Illinois, and I'm a knitter, a blogger, a YouTube podcaster, and an Instagrammer. Welcome to my little journal of knitting here on the YouTube. Thank you so much to everyone who comes back each time, and welcome to any new subscribers and viewers. We're glad to have you here in our community. So grab your knitting, grab a cuppa, and let's kick back and talk about some knitting. Today is Thursday, December 26th, the day after Christmas in the U.S. And in Central Illinois, the weather is gloomy. It is cloudy again. It's been cloudy for days. Rain's coming. It's been rainy, misty, and more to come. It's been in the 40s this weekend, maybe towards the 50s. So the weather is just goofy, totally goofy here in Central Illinois. But you know what? We make do, because normally it would be cold and snowy. And so it's been very nice that people could travel this holiday season, right? I am going to call today's YouTube something to the effect of back to normal, because as much as I love the holidays and I love decorating, I have trees on every, several trees, let's just put it that way, some really all over the place special trees. And I love turning the lights out at night and turning the candles on and just lights and watching, whatever Christmas movie on some favorites or watching vlogs. I just love that during the season. But in reality, my body is tired of all the junk I've been putting into it and not things being out of the normal. And so I'm ready to go back to normal knitting and, back to normal things that we normally do. So, I love the holidays, but I'm ready. I'm ready to move into the new year for sure. So anyway, let's talk about some knitting. I want to do a little bit of wrap up of some of the things that I've been working on in December. First of all is the Advents, just to give you some updates on that. First one is the Woolens and Nosh one. You all know, if you are a return viewer, that I gave myself permission mid-December to stop worrying and fussing over my Advents, because I really wanted to be knitting on other things. And the Advents, although I would get up every morning and turn on something fun, a fireplace on the TV with some music, and they were fun to do that first thing in the morning, it was taking away from the other knitting that I normally would have done. So I gave my permission to not. And I think going forward next year, I know kind of sort of what I want to do for Advents as well. Maybe one or two. So anyway, the first one I'm going to share with you is the Woolens and Nosh one. I completed on Christmas Eve the first sock. The second sock is about at the heel flap spot. But what I wanted to do is finish at least one to see where the colors were taking me. And so this is the Woolens and Nosh that I did for mine. Took me through 24. I did it on a 1.5 double point needle with 64 stitches, and then decreased to 60 here, and then left it as I went to the toe to 60. This was a new base for me, a new yarn I had never used. And our friend Kendra told me that it would plump up, that it was a plumpier yarn, and she definitely was. That was the case. And on my 1.5, I did find part of the reason that I wanted to kind of just slow it down a little bit was because it was a plumpier yarn and I was on 1.5. And not only that, weather related, but the arthritis in my thumbs, really, I could tell the difference when I was trying to knit the two socks. So, and so I just took a little bit of a break from them. I love them. I think I could have went down on mine, a good probably 4 or 6 stitches, because I think they are going to grow a little bit, but the jury's still out on this. I will say that yesterday I had a pair of socks on that I knit in July as part of a kind of like a knit along with one of the other podcasters. And I put those on, and they were the barking dog yarn ones. And I will link that below, that project. But what I found at the end of the day is I was loving that sock. It has rib across the top of the foot, and it did not get very loose at all. The only thing that was a little loose was the heel, and I think that I could, you know, switch that up just by doing some less stitches in the heel. So I really like that sock. I'm going to pull that information out of my journal and kind of see about making another set on a different yarn and seeing what that's all about. My next advent I wanted to talk about was the Door County coffee one. You all know, if you watch me on Instagram, I'm PJ Knits there. I posted every day the flavor of the day. I love that advent because it gives you a chance to try different coffees every day. And in my journal, I made a note every day of what the coffee was. I did it in brown ink to signify coffee, and what the flavor was, and then I gave it stars, 1 to 5 stars. 5 stars meaning that, yeah, I'd love to have another pot of that, or I would buy that in the future. And so I have that information for going forward, and that is one of the advents I do believe I'll keep doing every year because I do enjoy a different flavor. I didn't so much like the cherry cream. That one was a 0 star because I would never, you know, I didn't really care for that. And one morning it was the bourbon maple. I love it, but I did not want it first thing in the morning. So I saved it for later in the day. So that's the Door County one. The next one is Nana's Visit, and I have nothing to show for you on that basis because this one has ended, of course. And what I found is this. I'm not a fan. There was a lot of knitting. I think they are so cute. I've seen Noelle and Kelly's and other people who have finished theirs, Merino, and I love theirs. But I had discovered that I am not a small knitter. And you all know about those things for sure. But it was just a lot of knitting. And although I love the end product, it just was not me. And so I'm not going to say that I won't go back to it, but for right now, I've just kind of put it aside, put it in my box for next winter, and we'll see, or next summer, starting in July, and we'll see and bring it back out then. And then finally, the Advent swap of four ladies that I swap with. I opened the final one of that, and then I had a Christmas Eve cast on, which I have never ever done, which is interesting. And that particular one, I didn't get very far because I messed up on my stitch count and had to finagle it yesterday. But I decided to do Helen Stewart's Trifle wrap after seeing our friend Zoya's this past fall. She was doing Zoya was doing a scarf version of it, I think. And so I decided to use this for my advents for the swap of 4. I am using the yarns that each day we opened, 24 different yarns. Each of us, there was 4 of us, so each of us did 6 yarns for everybody else. And each day we opened up one of those. And then I am going to go forward now and just knit on mine at my leisure. And here is just the start of it. And I'm using Plymouth Yarn Suri Stratus on this one. And so I just think this is going to be, it's so soft already. It's so super, super soft. So anyway, that is my final Advent project that I'm doing that kind of wrapped up for where I was coming from. Mail calls. Oh my gosh, you guys. Through our community, and not just through our community, but I just can't, I don't know how to put it. I'm amazed. I'm amazed when people reach out, right? I had a lovely card from David out east and Charlie. That was so much fun to get. And then I had some little prezzies that came in through the mail that I want to share with you today. And I'm not going to call them out for the most part because I don't have their permission. But I wanted to show you these. And these specifically were ones that were in a tin. They came in a cute box before Christmas, and the note on it said, please don't open till the 25th. And I did not. And the thing I want to say too about the 25th is with this Advent swap of 4, we each on the 25th would send a gift wrapped with our parcels that was less than $10 and not to be opened until the 25th. And I have to say, I love that, because when you are by yourself and there are no presents yet underneath your tree, it is so much fun that when you wake up, and for me at least, when I woke up on the 25th, it was 4:45. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, make the coffee, then I'm going to sit down and I'm going to open my presents. It's just like being a kid all over. I like to have a little present underneath there to open on the 25th, and I had several. So I had some from the swap of 4, and most of all of them are in this lovely bag. And I'm not going to show them all again because I don't have permission, but I just wanted to share this. This was one. There was 3 different things. Sorry, I was the 4th. And from the 3 different ladies, and they're all, I unwrapped them and they're all in my little baggie. So that was one. And then the one that came before Christmas, and then with a note not to open. I was just, when I opened it, I was just like, wow. They had seen that I was talking about making ornaments for my Christmas tree. And I have made some of these. This was back in the day when I smocked. Here's my little sweater that I made in the summertime. And a little stocking. And then when I was at the mini meetup, our friend up there, Cheryl, gave me a little red one to hang on. And then I opened these 2 as well on Christmas. And I was just like, wow. I mean, there's nothing more. Okay, I'll show you. Just take a moment. Oh my gosh, on little wooden hangers. Color work, people. I am still just, thank you just doesn't quite cut it. What can you say? I just can't, I can hardly, these are labor of loves in miniature, people. I just, what can I say? Thank you. Thank you so very much for thinking of me. Thanking you so much for making me wait, because, I wish you could feel these. I mean, I just don't. This is beyond anything I would ever do for my tree, which has me back thinking, people, next year, when my nephew was here, we were getting some things out of my attic, and it's not really an attic, it's like behind the yarn room. And I found a tree in there that's pre-lit, and I'm like, okay, next year it's going to go here. I need a bigger tree. This is probably a 4-foot. I want a bigger tree, and I want to put my grandkids' presents underneath it. But I'm going to knit some more ornaments for this. And this tree is in my Zoom knitting room, and this is really all knitting related ornaments, be they sheep or knitted, machine knit, or gifted to me. I had bought some way back when I was working as a supervisor at a department store here, way back in my 20s. I bought some crocheted ones that were crocheted, they were not hand crocheted, but I was part of the trim-a-home. That was part of my responsibilities, was the trim-a-home. area, which was all the wrap and the ornaments. And so when I unpacked them, I had to have some. So they're all knitting related, or from Knitting Friends, is on this particular tree. So next year I am going to pull out that larger pre-lit tree, and it's going to go here. So thank you, ladies. Thank you. I can't wait to thank you in person. That's for sure. So then other mail call that I received was from my friend Susan. And I received this bag. And again, out of the blue, had no idea that it was coming. And what happened was, when I told her how much I loved it, right? She was like, well, she had attended a function, and this was what they each received. And she said to someone she was sitting with, oh, my friend Penny would love that. She is a Snoopy fan. And the lady gave her bag to Susan to give to me. And it has these little stitch markers attached. And so, of course, what one has to do when one receives a new bag is cast on a new project, and which I did. And the cool thing about this particular one is that I was at our local yarn shop, the Fiber Universe, and there laying on the table was a pom-pom. And I'm like, oh, I have to have that. And of course, my friend Debbie, enabled me and said, Jess, surely you have yarn at home that will work with. And I'm like, well, surely I do. And so then I came home and I looked at the vest yarn that I had. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't really want to use that fine of yarn for it. And I went to my PYS and I found some leftovers from my second Turtle Dove, which I knit a couple of years ago, and I have like 2 or 3 skeins of it. It's the Drops Air. And so I went looking for patterns, and I found Twistmas from Espace Tricot that was in my library. And so I cast on, and you can't see a whole lot yet on it, but it's 3 knits and a 3 knits and a purl around. And so I'm just looking forward to this. And I think I have enough that I could do at least mittens to go with it, because that's one of the things that I wanted to do. And I might have enough for a cowl or a little scarf. But anyway, I just think that's going to be super cool on there. And so thank you, Susan, so much for thinking of me. And again, a total surprise. And then next up, I received a little package from my friend in Indy. And again, she put on there, she didn't put it on there. We talked, and she said, I thought you needed a little something underneath your tree to open on Christmas. And thank you, Kendra. You are so right. And in the package was a little tin that I'm using for some stitch markers, and another ornament for my tree. And I thought that's super, super cute. Knitting related, kind of, sort of, and from a knitting friend. So it's going to be on my tree. And then when I woke up again on the 25th, I opened another skein of yarn from Kendra. And this is one of those things, she said, I thought you had to have. Okay, it is from Fangirl Fibers. And the yarn is Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown. And so this, I think, this could be some lovely socks. Definitely. It may be my next sock with the rib, I think. So again, thank you so much, Kendra, and I do appreciate that. Kendra is, for those of you who are new, Kendra is my cohort in crime for the Makers Meetup that's going to happen at the end of July next year. And so this was just a lovely, unexpected gift, and thank you so very, very much. And then to wrap the mail calls out, I wanted to talk about something that I found a friend of mine, Chris from Briar Rose Fibers, crocheted this last summer and then hung it from her porch. And when I saw it, I was like, I have to have that in some facsimile for my porch. And I stole the pictures off of her project page, but I wanted to show you what this looked like in all of its funness. So here's her squares that she's laid out. There's it put together, and then that's it hanging from her porch. And when I saw it hanging from her porch, I knew that that was something that I needed either hanging from my porch, what I could do, or draped over one of my chairs. And the pattern is called Sunburst Granny Square. And I started out crocheting many, many years. That's where more than 40 years ago, almost 47, 48 years, I started out crocheting. My aunt across the street crocheted and got me into it. And so I crocheted many years before I repicked up the knitting needles. And so the name of this is the Sunburst Granny Square. And so I am very sure that this is something that I can do again. So when I saw this last summer, I reached out to Chris at Briar Rose. And if you know Chris from Briar Rose, she is a gem. She is a peach of a lady. I first met Chris at knitting camp way back when. Chris has been going through some health problems. Coincidentally, she started her health problems at the same time the tall guy started to experience some things. She is still battling with the health issues. But I reached out to her and I said, you know, I know that she dies periodically when she feels like it. And so I reached out after I saw her Instagram post in Ravelry, and I said, you know, feel free to say no, but if you ever think about dying or feel like dying again, I would love to have a kit for your same throw, your porch hanging. I just love it so much, and I think that that aesthetic would go really well on my porch. And she said, when I'm open to doing that when I'm feeling better, when I'm up to it, because she has to do it when she feels like it. And I told her there's absolutely no rush. And, you know, in typical Chris fashion, she came back a couple of times and said, I'm so sorry. I'm not, one thing and another. And I'm like, it's no rush. If I don't get it till next spring, I'm okay with that. But then she reached out, maybe a month or so ago, and she says, I've got it all dyed. I just have to let it dry. And then she reached out and said, I'm sorry, I've just got to wind it. And I'm like, no worries. You take your time. And so right before Christmas, I received the yarns. And I'm going to, if they're in the bag, I'm leaving them in the bag. For the most part, I'm leaving them in the bag. Sorry. I don't know why people always say sorry, but I'm going to I have a little sticker that's going to go on my journal. She is Briar Rose Fibers. And if you are at all so inclined to make one of these or crochet one of these for your porch knitting, please reach out to her and talk to her about doing a kit at her leisure and as she feels like it, for sure. If you go back to my Instagram post last week, you'll see all the colors. I did it out on my porch as a last hurrah. But there's just some magnificent colors in here. I can't wait to start on it, for sure. I'm not going to pull them all out, but they're all the colors that she has used hers and in a base that I have used before. So if you are loving this at all, please reach out to Chris and talk to her about it, for sure. And check out her website. She dyes as she feels good enough to do it, or well enough, I guess. And I just, I just can't, what can I say? She's just a peach, and I want to keep supporting her, and I will as well. So, okay. let's talk about journals. I want to talk to you about journals. First thing, back in the day, my keeping track of knitting was on a page that I created, and I put it in a sheet protector with some of the yarn and all of the ball bands and yada, yada, yada. That's went by the wayside. I think that was pre Ravelry. And then I started doing written journals, and my journal, you know, goes way back after that. They were little loose leaf notebook, not loose leaf, spiral bound notebooks. And they would encompass like several years because I was working and not knitting as much, you know, as I am now. So I've always been a proponent of knitting, some sort of knitting, journaling, my knitting for sure. And so you know, for those of you who don't journal, I just want to tell you a story about why it is so smart. I posted a sock on Instagram last week, and Beth from Pandemic Knitter, if you don't watch Beth, please go out and check her out. She's super fun to watch and a great knitter. Anyway, she reached out, wanted to know about the heel on it and what, you know, specifics on it. And to be quite honest, I didn't know totally. I did know, however, when I knit it. And I went to Ravelry, and it wasn't on a project page, or at least not, couldn't find it. So I couldn't really answer the question. This is where my journal comes in. I remembered that sock because I knit it in 2016 at Christmas time. I had foot surgery, and I was off for 6 weeks with my foot up, and there was no sock going on that one. So I only knit one. And so I went back to my multitude of journals, and I found the journal that it was in. And like I said, this one, multiple years, 26 to 2019. And I knew that it was at, you know, the holiday times. And so I could go back to 2016 in my journal. And find all the information for it. I knew that it was during, And it's funny, I started the sock 12/23/16, and I finished the second one 9/1/18 in my journal. But I could give her the specifics as to what the yarn was all about, and that the heel was just happened as the nature of the yarn. So I am super, super pleased to just hopefully encourage some of you to definitely do a journal, to keep doing journals for sure. That's my the reason to do one for sure. The reason to do a journal. So in my 2024 journal, I'm just going to do a couple of things I want to talk to you about again. As I said on the last podcast, the little tabs here at the top with the markers, those are all whips. So much for that goal or intention for 2024 to not have any whips. But some of these, you know, in my defense, are going forward into spring. And also then there are some Florida projects there. And then, you know, some cast ons that I just did, you know, in the last couple of days. But anyway, so I got that, my 2024 journal. And I found that I have less pages left in it this time. I will do at the very end. I have an index. I've been keeping tabs on a little piece of paper as we went through where each of the projects are or the information that I want to go back. At the very end, I will put the index in alphabetical order so that I can, you know, readily go back to. I use my Ravelry projects, but my journal has the Christmas cards. It has a scrap of all the Advent yarns from the Swap of Four. It has information and things that I received from people, and I've taken some pictures that I will also put in there. So it's really a journal, kind of a scrapbook of my knitting and my friendships with other knitters. So, and I also, right before the index on the 31st of December, I will do kind of a recap of the year, how the year went, how my knitting went, what life was like, you know, for future reference. So that's the 2024 journal in a nutshell. And then I have my 2025 all set up. I'm going to put my little Briar Rose sticker there. And I have not yet. I have started putting some knitting goals in there / intentions. I never hold myself to these. And again, finish some whips, Fiber Fridays, Fair Isle Fridays, Woolly Wools, and color work. I see myself in the new year knitting on wools and winter sweaters all year long, with the seasonal ones thrown in, because there's just not enough time, right, to knit all the winter sweaters that I've got sweater quantities for. So, and I'm okay with knitting wool in the summertime, unlike some of other people. So I've set up some of my pages. We talked about that last time. Other goals I want to put into here, intentions as it would be for 2025, is whips. Again, I've told you about those, and using my PYS and using my library. I also want a wintry, Christmassy sweater. I have it done at Thanksgiving time so that I can get maximum wearing out of it in the new year. So those are kinds of some things that I put in there. And my first project is going to be the knit along that we are doing, and that is the Unite KAL. And that, if you have watched before, we are doing Vertices Unite. Or Textures Unite. Or you can go rogue and cast on with us. And this is going to be a Zoom cast on that we're going to do on the 1st of January at 1 p.m. Central Time. The information on the Zoom is in the PJ Knits Ravelry group. So we would love to have you to join us for a afternoon of getting together of the first day and the first knit along and the first project in our 2025 journals. I said once, sometime, as you start the year is as you will do for the year. And so what better way to start the new year out with knitting friends and a new project and some fun and laughter. You can be sure of that. It's a great, great group, and we are always open and welcome to anybody who wants to join in. We do not talk politics. We do not talk religion, but other than that, everything else is fair game, and we learn a lot about each other and about things in general. I want to share my new selection of yarns, and this is so funny because I tried the yarn that I had. I did a little swatch of the Melody yarn. I've talked about that before. And it really wasn't, I didn't think that it was going to get colorful enough for me. And so I put that back into PYS, and I went to my PYS, also known as Penny's Yarn Shop, and I found some yarns that I remember I bought at Stitches Midwest. I looked at the projects on the Vertices Unite, and I saw that some people use this same yarn because I think it's a little heavier, not by much of a fingering weight. And I saw other people do it, and I'm like, okay, I can use this yarn for it. And I'm so pleased. The yarn that I bought at Stitches Midwest a long time ago went into this booth, and I bought it purely by these 5 colors were all grouped together on the rack. And I'm like, yes, I want to do something out of those 5 colors. So out of the norm for the colors that I normally would have. And we also think, that this will be great with blue jeans or black, whatever, as well. The yarn itself is, excuse me, Cheeky Merino Joy. It is from Rosy Green Wool. It's an English yarn. There's 350 yards to each skein. And like I said, I bought it at Yarn Culture. That was the vendor at, and so here I'll try and give you an idea of the colors that we're dealing with. This is a really dark navy. So I'm super stoked about those. And I will you know, I'll do a blog post and I'll do an Instagram post of the direction that I'm going. But so I have here, this is Deep Ocean. This, okay. Wood. Oh yes, wood. Kind of a taupey, dark taupey. Air Luft. A light blue, kind of an icy. And I believe this is lilac. No, it's peony. Or as my husband's grandmother used to say, peony. Peony. And then lastly is taupe. This is, to me, this is more of a gray than a taupe. This one, I guess this is the color of wood, and this is the color of taupe. And again, we're losing what light we had of this, but I'm super, super excited. And as you can see, it's a little bit of a, more of a plumpier yarn than the others, but I'm so looking forward to that. So I'll take some pictures, I'll post it, and then I'm gonna be off to skein this up so I'm ready for our knit along. And like I said, we would love to have you join us. Please do. The group is so open, and you will meet some new friends, and maybe from all over the United States and other places as well. So knit alongs that are ending for 2024, please post by the end of the year your mistletoes, which is your socks, that's on Ravelry, and also your hap shawls if you have them in any kind of state. Mine is still in need of the borders, and I'm okay with that. So it's going to be ongoing for me, but I won't bring it up. You know, I won't bring it up again for sure. Whips. I'm going to share just some active whips that I've got with you. This one is my Flax. This particular one, I pretty much only knit on it at my local yarn shop, Fiber U, because part of the yarn came from them, but it's a Flax. I am using Sunday Knits Nirvana. Her yarn is the base in this. It is a 5-ply worsted, and it is out of merino and cashmere. And then I'm holding a strand of Plymouth Yarns Suri Stratus with it. And so it's just, it feels really lush, and I'm loving it. So because one of the yarns is from Fiber Universe, this is why I'm using mostly it when I knit at the shop with the ladies. So, and also there was the other last week when we were on there on Tuesday, Debbie was finishing up on her granddaughter's Flax, and then Sheila was also, she's a new sweater knitter, and she was knitting it as well. So that is my Flax. And the next one is a new pattern that just came out right before Christmas. Okay, which I don't have a picture here, but I will link it below. It is called Hello Friend, and it is by Leslie Friend. She has a podcast. I love Leslie. She lives out east, and she's I love her style. She styles everything. She is really kind of a simplistic colorway. You know, it's like beiges and blacks and creams, and simplistic, classic knits that she styles superbly. And so anyway, she came out with a pattern last week I've been waiting for, and I don't have much to show, but I wanted to cast this on, and you're not going to see much with it, but it's a very simple classic vest. And you can purchase the pattern on Ravelry. It's maybe $5-6. And so I've knit some of her other patterns, her friend to friend shawl, not shawl, but kind of cape type thing. I've knit several of those, and her toast mittens and her Beatrice mitts, I did those. And so I knew that it was a classic type vest. I was looking, I have a vest on the needles, but I wanted something very simple, something that I could just throw over, you know, turtlenecks or shirts or whatever. And so Leslie came out with that. So check the pattern out, and I will link that below, sorry. As far as the yarn that I'm doing, I went back to my PYS, and this could very well be called the Sunday knits yarn, because I had some of this also in my stash, and I found just the right gauge and needle for mine. I am knitting this out of Angelic. This is also from Sunday Knits and from my PYS as well. This is a 5-ply Merino Angora. It has a little bit of a fluff factor, not much. You can see that little fluff there. If I had a darker. Anyway, trust me, a little bit of fluff. It feels really well. And so I'm knitting that, and I'm having some fun. Just some simple knitting, right? Some simple knitting to get me into the new year. So that's really kind of the only active whips that I'm working on right now. I'm not working on anything at the moment. I'm working on my muscle burl downstairs. You know, that was one that I could pick up in the evening when I'm under candlelight and Christmas tree lights and all of that, for sure. So I am working on that one down there, as it is sometimes. So couple of things. I have 2 bags that I've not sent out, and so I don't know if I missed your information, but Tina Carter 7282, I have a bag with your name on it. And then Cheryl, I also have one with your name on it. And I don't know if I missed the email or the contact, but if you haven't, or if you have, would you resend it to me? I am pjknitspodcast@gmail.com, or you can send me a Ravelry message. I am pjknits1 there. And then on Instagram, you could direct message me as well as PJ Knits. So there's several different ways to go. But Cheryl and Tina Carter, if you'd let me know, I'd like to get your bags out to you in the new year. Okay. Again, I will be doing #PJ Knits the holidays 2025. And things that are on my list, again, just to recap with that, is a winter Christmassy sweater. I have some bling yarn that I want to do a bling sweater out of. And then in July, I have that freckled whimsy sock yarn that I want to do a Christmas sock again. So I have Knit the Holidays 2025 I will be doing again next year, so for sure. My New Year plans. I have this area that I put all my Christmas stuff from up here in, and it requires, it's a dark place. It's behind the PYS, and it's kind of a slanted roof, and not that anything's ever gotten in there, but I just am not so comfortable every time having to go in there and put it away and take it out and all that. So my New Year plans is I have a closet back this way, and it has stuff in it, yarn and bags, and that is to pull all of that out in the new year and set it out after everybody's gone, and set it out into the yarn room. And then I would like to have, as I'm tearing down, all my Christmas stuff that's on this level go there, so I don't have to go into that room. I can just go to the closet and and get it. So that's kind of my plan for the new year. And in doing so, I am going to go through all of PYS. I'm going to touch every yarn that I have. Yeah, it's going to take a while, but I have time, and right? And I am going to re-inventory all of it, and I'm going to look at it very, very carefully. And I'm going to make a decision if I love it, if I have a thought to do with it, and if I don't, I'm going to do something with it. Donate it. I'll have a stack for our makers meetup for the put and take table, and maybe reach out to some people that might want it. Some of the other stuff, I am only going to keep what I love, and because I have a great stash. I have some things, Kendra and I were talking, I have this red yarn that I bought years ago, and I'm never ever, it's been caked up since then, and it's been quite some time, let's just put it that way. And I'm never going to do it. I'm never going to do anything with it. So it just needs to be donated or something else created with it. So I'm going to touch all of my yarn in the new year. I don't see it as I don't see the yarn as throwing money away. I see it as it has brought me all the joy in the buying of it, the figuring out what I thought I might want to make out of it. It's brought me all the joy. And when it doesn't bring you joy anymore, it's time to get rid of it and use only those things that do. And I have some great gift yarn that I want to be knitting on, so, and souvenir yarn. So that's kind of my thought for the new year. Long-term project, that one will definitely be. And I'm looking forward to touching it all and re-inventorying and finding the space that it's really in. And who knows what I'll find as we go along. So anyway, that's all of the knitting content I have for you. A couple of things. Please, if you would, like this video, subscribe, comment below. Please tell a friend if anything was beneficial. In the new year, we're going to be talking, we really are going to be back to normal knitting, knits, sweaters, and our knit-alongs and all of that. I can hardly wait for it. I'm just so excited, as I was for all of my little fun gifties that came my way. Each and every one I treasure. And I will think of those people every time I look at it and every time I put it, on my tree. This tree's going to stay up for a while because I want to enjoy that. So thank you to you, dear people who have stuck with me all this time, even when the content hasn't been that great. I appreciate you so very, very much. Thank you what more can you say? I wish I could. I just can't articulate it quite as well as I want to. So we will see you in the new year. And before we go, I have just something that I'd like to read to you, and I cannot tell you who wrote it. It is from years ago with hospice. I reached out to my friend Victoria. She said she did not write it. I thought maybe she had, but I wanted to share this with you because I think for me, this just kind of says it all and kind of sums up where I'm at. As I've aged, I've become kinder to myself and less critical of myself. I've become my own friend. I have seen too many dear friends leave this world too soon, before they understood the great freedom that comes with aging. Whose business is it if I choose to read or play or knit until 4 a.m. or sleep until noon? I will dance with myself to those wonderful tunes of the 50s, 60s, 70s, and if I at the same time wish to weep over a lost love, I will. I will walk the beach in a swimsuit that is stretched over a bulging body, and I will dive into the waves with abandon. I might not dive into the waves because I'm not a swimmer, but I will walk into the waves. If I choose, despite the pitying glances from the jet set. They too will get old. I know I sometimes am forgetful, but there again, some of my life is just as well forgotten, and I eventually remember the important things. Sure, over the years, my heart has been broken. How can your heart not break when you lose a loved one, or when a child suffers, or even when somebody's beloved pet gets hit by a car? But broken hearts are what give us strength and understanding and compassion. A heart never broken is pristine and sterile and will never know the joy of being imperfect. I am so blessed to have lived long enough to have my hair turning gray and to have my youthful laughs be forever etched into deep grooves on my face. So many have never laughed, and so many have died before their hair could turn silver. Yeah, my hair's not going silver. It's going to be forever blonde. As you get older, it is easier to be positive. You care less about what other people think. I don't question myself anymore. I've even earned the right to be wrong. So to answer your question, I like being old. It has set me free. I like the person I have become. I am not going to live forever, but while I am still here, I will not waste time lamenting what could have been or worrying about what will be. And I shall eat dessert every single day if I feel like it. And I think that sums it up quite well as to where I'm at in life. Life is short. Knit it, right? Buy the yarn, buy the good stuff if you can. Have a great new year. Have a safe new year. Hope you all are well, and we will see you. Some of you will see on the 1st of January in the Zoom. Links will be below in a couple of days of all the stuff that's going on. So Happy New Year, everybody. Until next time, bye.